Okay, so what do we have today? Well, picked this up online. It's a non-runner. You see the wiring issues. Both seat frames are broken. It's not just the mounts, it's the actual base of the frames are broken. It all seems to be here. Wiring's a little suspect. The wheel sensor for the speedo's missing. Brakes will work. Seat belts don't work. Rear lights. Air filters all missing. Wiring is a complete and utter botched mess. It's got 2 CDI units, so obviously one of those is not being used. This is the coil. The engine has compression, the engine turns over. Chain guard's missing. Muffler is not on. I do have the muffler, but it is very rusty. No battery. So, what are we going to do? Well, first of all, I'm going to take all the wiring off and either remake the loom. I think I'm probably going to have to remake the loom, unless I can find a loom online. The loom's in 2 halves. You've got the wiring harness for the engine, and then you've got the wiring harness for the machine. So we'll have a look at that. New seat belts, fix the muffler, chain guard, fix all the lights, take the seats out and re-weld or completely remake the bottom of the seats, and just generally get all the wiring going, front mud guards. So yeah, a little bit of a project. It's should be fun. 100cc engine, supposed to have a top speed of 40 mile an hour. Off-road. Well, we've definitely got somewhere off-road to take it. So well, let's make a start. Okay, we're going to make a start today on the electrics. So we've got new ignition coil, new CDU module, starter solenoid, oil filter. I made these little brackets to hold these because they didn't come with brackets, which is strange, but there you go. Got little buzz bars, brake pads. This is a little speedo with so it's a GPS speedo with a compass. More starter buttons, axle bearings, flywheel puller, and because we're going to fit the a new light bar, we need to change the magneto and the regulator to the 11 pole. Managed to find a engine wiring harness, so I'll see how good that is. If not, we've got all the wire to and the coverings to make our own wiring looms. Muffler springs, mounting springs, new mud guards, and of course really important 5-point harnesses. So I've got to get on with fitting the axle bearings and the axle bearings seals now, and then once we've got the wheels and brakes on, we'll get on with the electrics. Okay, so continuously inspecting. And so I jack it up because I noticed that the rear caliper was loose, which is a little odd. Works, but it's loose. But then once I jacked it up, see, rear bearings completely failed. So and take the wheel off and have a look how that mounts. So the wheel's splined on this shaft. It was actually loose, so the wheel itself was loose on the spline, but fortunately it doesn't look like it's done a lot of mileage with it being loose. But the the bearing is completely gone, so I'm going to have to change that, and I'll change them both. I'll change the one the other side as well. So it looks like it's just the 3 mounting bolts, and then it's a captivated shaft bearing in there with a couple of oil seals, or water seals I should say, to keep the weather out. Okay, let's move on. Well, as you can see, the axle bearing cratered, no balls in it. The 2 seals are pretty shot. The shaft had rubbed on this a little bit, deforming it, so I put it in the lathe and I spun it and pushed it back to round again. So now that will be tight with a new seal. I used that mandrel to get it roughly, well, I made that mandrel to get it roughly round before I pushed it on the lathe. So it's a 6206-2RS. The 2RS is double rubber shielded. Even though it's going to have 2 new external seals here and here, I decided to put a sealed bearing in as well. So what I'll do is I'll fit the bearing into here and then grease pack everything, and then fit new seals with it all grease packed. So the whole thing will be filled with grease, and it'll have this seal and the seal on the bearing itself. So should be pretty good. Not a very expensive, and these were pretty cheap. The bearing was pretty cheap. You can buy this as an assembly, which was I think about $30, so $60 for a pair of them, against I think I paid $8 for 2 of those, and $20 for 4 of those. So yeah, less than half price to rebuild it, rather than fit a complete new axle bearing assembly. So let's get that assembled and move on. Now we're going to knock the old seal out. Give this a clean up. I'm going to knock the bearing comes out this way and the seal goes out that way, so we'll knock the bearing out first. Tight in there. It'd be easier if I'd used the press at work, but there she goes. Bearing out. Now take the seal out. Okay, so we'll clean these up and we'll press the new bits in. Okay, so I just put this on the brush, cleaned it up. Now we're going to push the bearing in here. And then normally it'd be nice and easy on the press, but I don't have the press here. So these are parallel to each other, so it's a nice easy to push it in parallel. Just start. Once it starts going in, it should be easy. Just keep rotating it. Vice has come loose. Put new bolts on the vice. When I get this close, get the ring of the old bearing and just put it on there like that, and that allows you to just push it in that final bit. It's a little because you don't want to be pushing on. You don't want to be pushing on the centre of the bearing. You want to be pushing on the outside to push it in tight. Next thing we're going to do is just push that in the same. But first of all, even though it's a sealed bearing, I want to completely pack it with grease. Again, I'm not hammering on the inside of the seal, I'm hammering on the edge, like that, and then you just tap that a bit where it's not going in, like that. Same with the other side, got this, just want to push that into there. It's nice and easy until it's flush with that there. I like this red and tacky grease. It's very, as it says, tacky, sticky, so it doesn't come off easy. Make sure they're all greased ready. Now I've got to get that seal over this lip. So you've got to just wiggle it a bit, and that seal over this slip. So. Right. That's awkward. Half-inch wrench down here somewhere.
Last I saw is there it is. Isn't it on the floor?
Yeah, that one there. There you go. Right, it's all nice and greased. I won't put the wheels on yet. I'm going to change the brake pads on the other side. So time for a clean up so I'm not getting grease on the brake pads. Here's the brake caliper, here's the brake mounting plate. As you can see, it's just flopping all over the place, and that's because there are no bushings. So what I have to do, I'm going to have to make some bushings that will fit in there so that we can reassemble this, and it'll slide easily. Fit the new pads under these. Oh yeah, not a lot of those left. The new ones. Dirt dropped around the back there. Okay. Okay, a bit tighter. A bit more. Bring the tabs up. Okay, that stops them from coming undone. Goes over a bit. Okay, let's fit these on. So these are the bushings I made. That just now slides nicely in there. One will slide in there nicely and put the bolt in. That bolt screws on that plate. And that plate moves, slides nice and easy. Okay, let's just mount the brake back on. Okay, we're just going to mount the brake cable, so put that in. Screw that up. There we go. That there. Nip it up. Perfect. Slightly smaller actually, that one. Cover down. Okay. Handbrake. Handbrake's pretty simple. Bring it through here. There's a spring in there, so that spring takes that, and we've got to just pull that wire up.
Back door.
Pop it on there. Whoop, get in there. Perfect. There it is. Handbrake. So pop it down to lock position. Actually, why is that? Okay, so this is the seats finished. So this seat mechanism's all repaired at the slide, so that works good. Nice and slidey now. Of course the passenger seat one's fixed, but let's see. And the seat's cleaned up pretty well. I put a little burn on the driver's seat, which I'm a bit annoyed about. I don't even know how I did that. Something flicked up and landed on it, but it's done, so I'm not going to complain now. So this is going to be a lot heavier than the that thin half-inch square they had on there. Good stuff. This, I get a lot of this metal spare from machine crates that come in, and it would just be going in the trash, so I don't throw it away. I collect it and make stuff out of it. So there they are, the two seats. Really pleased with them. Change this magneto, so let's screw off. There's one under there which I've already got, so pull that off, and it's under there. Well, that was loose.
So, Andrew, how big is that engine?
Guessing that's left-hand thread. Yeah, it is. There you go. Just got to hit it hard enough. Okay, so that threads onto there.
Right by your toe?
Oh yeah, this one. Two different threads here, and it's not that one, so it definitely is this one. Ah, this is the left-hand thread, which makes sense, because then otherwise it would just unscrew that left-hand thread into there, right-hand thread into there, you can see here the magnetic pick off for the ignition, so we're going to change this. This comes with the new magneto. Even they make that the same as the nut. That's handy. So hit that. Look at that. Pulls it straight off. And yes, so this only had a 6-pole magneto. That would not run that light bar. So let's get the new one and we'll fit it in. Okay, so take this off. Well, I'm definitely glad I decided to change this, because 6 pole was not going to be man enough. They're long. Look at that. Just to hold that little cover plate on. Take the pick off. We've got the new one.
Did you get that in Western Academy?
comes out the back. That's it. Locate that on there if I can. It's not locating. Oh, there she goes. That looks good. Okay, so that's the magneto in place and the new pick-off in place. Make sure this hasn't picked up any little bits of metal on the magnet. Line the keyway up, really important. So let's suck that in straight away. No. And then it's very important you torque it to the right setting, a bit like that. There's probably is a proper torque setting for it, but I'm not going to look it up. I'm going to put up with that. Now this is supposed to have 4 bolts on it, and it's only got 2 and 1 weird screw, so I'm going to go and find another screw for this and make sure this is fitted properly, because this isn't right. Okay. Okay, I managed to find 4 nice stainless steel bolts the same, so they went on okay.
Back door.
Yeah, it's got no spark plug in it yet, so that's good.
Back door.
Okay. We've got that screw in. Got a screw missing there, so I'll have to change that one. This one's good here. They're in. We've got one under here. So that's a very simple upgrade for the power output on this, from a 6 pole to an 11 pole. Great. So here's the new wiring harness. We'll just bring it up through here, and we'll deal with that tomorrow. Except I need to put that grommet back in there, so I'll do that in a second. Great. Okay, so the muffler's a little surface rust, but nothing too serious, so I'm just going to give it a brushing. Now I can get the wire over here. Okay, so I'm now going to give it a bit of a paint job. I use this ultra high heat paint. This is like a semi-gloss I use this on my grill and all sorts of things. It's pretty good. I'm sure it's going to be fine for this because it doesn't get that hot. And it'll give it a little bit longer life. So far it's pretty good. It's not got any holes or anything in it, so no welding needed. So just going to give it a paint, and that'll preserve it for a bit longer. I'm going to mount the muffler back on. Slide that in. Put the bolt roughly in there for now. There you go. Now a lot of people say, how do you stretch these tension springs on? They're really tight. Well, yeah, they're tight, but there's a really easy fix. You get yourself a bit of rope or a bit of string, you just hook it around it like that, and then you just pull on the rope and just pop them in. It's as simple as that, and that goes for any tension spring that is like this. It's a very simple way of putting tension springs on. You just get a bit of rope, you can get a lot of leverage on it then, and just stretch it and push it on there, and there you go, done. So I've repainted all the tank, fitted new mounting grommets because there wasn't any. They were all gone long ago, and not only have they not had them in there, but they just bolted it with all various bolts. So I'm going to replace all of that, but while I'm at it, I'm going to replace the vacuum operated fuel switch. So this is quite a clever little device. It's I've got to put the O-ring on there, mustn't forget that. So once the engine fires up, it then creates a vacuum on here, which turns the fuel valve on. So should you have an accident and the engine quits and you're upside down, it will turn the fuel off, which I quite like. So we've got a little O-ring, fuel filter, the fuel tank's all clean, I've cleaned it up already, and we're just going to screw that on there, and then just nip it up. So I quite like this idea, as long as it works. But it does give you a, if your engines are not starting, you've got to think this could be a point of failure. That's you know, you've not got any fuel because the thing's not turning on. Oh, look at that! Just scuffed my paint. Okay. Let it sit like that and let that dry off again, and then I'll repaint that. Must be in a little bit of vapour still from in the tank. Okay, so barring having to just repaint that, touch up that little bit, this is going back on tomorrow. I've got these nice new bolts, nice spreader washers, so this tank could be nicely mounted on these rubber mounts. So good. Okay, let's crack on. I need to start getting rid of all this. Let's try and remove all the relevant wiring. It's been clipped on everywhere. There's so many different things here. It's as if there's more than one. People have their things broken, they've added instead of taking the other ones away. All of this is CD module, generator. In fact, there's two CD modules, regulator, solenoid, and so that's all trash. This is the main wiring harness we want out. Extra wires for some reason. What's that wheel sensor? Let's take that off. Okay, so I'm just going to work through this and pull all the wiring out so we can see what we're looking at with to make the new wiring loom. Okay, so I'll get back to you. Now in here they've got these little rubber bungs which are really difficult to get out, but if you get a little bolt and just try and screw it into the rubber, there it comes, out it comes. Otherwise it'd be a real pain to get these out. Just screw it into the rubber. Look, that one didn't come out yet. Try again. Getting close, but not. Wants to come and then it pops off. Okay, we'll work on that. Let's get this one off. So this one won't come out by pulling it. That's annoying. Okay, another way to do it, because the hole goes through the middle of that grommet, I'll try and pop it out like that. Okay, right, now I dropped it. I'll find that in a minute. Okay, there's more than one way of getting these things out. It's really rusty down in there. On it. a mess. Plug it in, I guess. I'm not going to use any of this. Too much of a problem to just cut things. Yeah, this is all dead. So we're going to redo all of this. Can't even get the keys out. Okay, we're all mud dauber nests, wasps. Okay, we'll deal with that later. I'm going to clean it all up, get all this silver paint off it and go from there. Okay, so this is what was on there. It's all been cut, twisted together, taped up with electrical tape. I hate electrical tape. It's just always sticky and horrid, and I don't like using it to stick to the frame as well. I prefer proper fixings. So when we make the loom, we're going to use proper loom banding tape, which is different to this electrical sticky tape. The old coil, regulator, magneto, and there's nothing here that we can use. It's just and the main use of this, which is the main loom, is the length of the wires. So what we can do is we can measure this and then make all of our wires the right length so they get to where they need to be. But we're going to have to make the whole thing from scratch. So let's get on with that. So this is what we're going to do. Ignition switch, light switches. I'm not going to do the engine stop switch. I'm going to make it part of the ignition switch. We're going to have an engine start switch instead of this part of the switch. So this is all very simple. Literally power in, power out, power in, power out for the switches. So up front here is not complicated. You've got the battery, starter solenoid and the electric starter. Then if we come down here, the ignition coil, this CDI unit, voltage regulator, the generator and the auto choke, which this has. So that is the pick off for the spark for the CDI. So we've got 3 wires from the generator, which are 3 yellows from the stator, and then the ground. So that's all that's coming out of the generator. And so we're going to come into the regulator with the yellow wires, into the regulator with the yellow wires, and we're just going to have ground and the power out, and the CDI is power in, spark out and the control line. So let's get on with it. So the CDI unit I decided to use is an AC excited CDI unit. The reason I've picked that rather than the DC one is the DC one. You do need a battery to make sure that everything's working. The engine itself can create everything you need to make it all work. So if you look at this wire is the excitation from the magneto, so it's normally a red-black wire. This is your kill wire, so you just connect that to ground and that kills it. That's normally a black-white wire. This is a blue-white wire normally, and this comes from the ignition pulse from the magneto. So that's that. We have the two grounds, so one's the ground for the ignition pulse and one's the ground for the unit itself. And then we have the output that goes to the coil, which is normally a yellow or yellow and black wire. So that's it, pretty simple. Just connect it up like that and you should it should work. So I hope this is helpful. So here in Texas, air filters on small engines are really important. It is very dusty here, and I've had engines at the shop that have cratered within a month because the customer just didn't blow out and clean the air filter. So it's really important. This is what arrived with the electronics kit. I would not fit this piece of crap, I really wouldn't. There's not a lot of surface area for a 150cc engine. You need a lot more surface area, but the biggest problem is where it is crimped, well, not crimped, where you have the pleats in the bottom here, which is supposed to sit in a bed of epoxy. The epoxy doesn't go all the way in. So if you actually look down, you can see that the inside part of the pleats is not sealed. You see that? What a load of junk. So the problem you're going to have is air will always find the path of least resistance. So the path of least resistance on this air filter is all of these pleats here. So you're going to get unfiltered air going in here and straight into your bore, which is going to kill that engine really quickly. Look at that piece of junk. So this is going in the trash, and I would advise anyone to, if it's a cheap Chinese copy of one of these, throw it away, don't use it. Very important that you use a proper air filter system. I mean, these look pretty. I'm not going to go down this route. I'm replacing the whole air filter housing with and fit that large air filter, so it's going to have really good filtration on the intake. Really important here in Texas. So I hope that saves someone's engine. Let's carry on. Because this is going to live in here and it's going to be in the way a lot, I made these little caster blocks, just quite simple little casters on some plates they sit on, and it enables you to just get the whole machine, just move it about. You can just wheel it, it's not going to be in the way because I can just pull it in and out. So it makes it a lot easier to have it in here, because if it's in the way, I can just grab hold of it and just pull it sideways, just pull it in any which way I want. So that may be a little thing you want to add as well if you're going to keep it somewhere like this. So the fuel tank's all painted. It's sitting on its new rubber mounts. So this is the way I've set up. You've got the voltage regulator, starter solenoid, CDI module. There's lots of earth connections with everything, so I'd created a little earth buzz bar here so that I don't have any twisted wires. There are no wires twisted together. Everything has a proper mechanical connection. Fitted the new air filter box, so all the brakes are done, the muffler's in, completely rewired. So created a new wiring loom, nice heavy wires from the battery, 4-point harnesses, 5-point harnesses. The seats are all in, light bar. Again, everything is wired nicely, there's no sticky tape. Wiring loom comes through the centre with the new brake cable there. All the brakes have been redone. So the start is now you lift that up, turn on the power, and then you have a start button. Simple as that. That then fires up the GPS speedo, which of course it can't find the GPS signal inside here. So it can't find the GPS signal in here, so that's not going to fire up. It's a speedometer with a compass. New mud flaps, repainted the wheels, new little centre hubcaps. So here it is. It's nearly finished, and the only reason I say it's nearly finished is because the engine smokes a bit. So we're going to just try and see how annoying that is, or how much oil it uses. The cylinder and piston kit is not very expensive, and it's not a difficult thing to do. It just means you've got to take all the rear axle and the gearbox and the engine out again. So that may be something for another video. We may be doing that, but other than that, that's it. Light bars on, headlights, all ready to rock and roll. So we'll take it to the lease in a couple of weeks and see how that goes. So there we go.